96.9 The Eagle, Jacksonville's classic hits. What's going on, guys? It's Tank, and I am talking to an absolute legend, one half of the Hardy Boys, Team Extreme, and one of the most prolific tag team wrestlers of all time, and one of my all-time favorites, Matt Hardy. What's going on, brother?
Hey, brother, what's going on? Thank you for that outstanding and wonderful introduction.
Well,
I appreciate it.
I'm a professional. I don't know what to. I'm really good at this.
You're great at it.
I'm a big fan, and it's funny because you're still a young guy, and you've been doing this. You've been in this game for so long.
30 years in October. Myself and Jeff will be 3 decades old in the pro wrestling business in October.
That's unbelievable. And you're the older brother, not by much, but just a little bit older brother. So have you always kind of been like giving him noogies and stuff like that, or is there?
I think so. I have 2 kids that are about my age too. You know, one that is 6 and one that is 4, and you know, my oldest one kind of is in charge. He is for right now, but once he gets a little older, the young one turns around and kind of puts the whipping on him. So we kind of had that experience a little bit.
Nice.
I used to manhandle Jeff until I couldn't anymore. Until he got up and he was the same size as me.
And then one day he was like, he just had enough. He couldn't. He's like, I'm not doing this anymore.
When he was like 12 years old, he hit me with a swanton, and I was done.
That was it. Swanton off the couch.
So baby.
You guys are part of what's I think this is like a huge event here in this city. It's River City WrestleCon, and it's at the Jacksonville Fairgrounds, 11th and 12th. You guys are going to be there on the 11th.
Yes.
Signing autographs for sure. Are you guys doing pictures? Are they doing pictures yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, man, we're doing a full-fledged meet and greet. We're taking photos. We're signing autographs. If you bring in memorabilia, we're happy to sign that too. We have the most action figures in any tag team in the history of pro wrestling. A little known. That's a math fact. A little known fact, but it is true.
That's pretty cool.
We're going to be rocking and rolling. We're going to be taking pictures. We're going to be signing autographs. We're going to be chatting up with our fans. And we love meeting our fans because we were huge fans before we started in the industry, obviously. And, like, we know how important it is for those people to have a good experience. And I feel like no one gives you a better appearance meeting than Matt and Jeff Hardy.
You guys are like Southern boys, like respectful, and I've met you before for an event here at the station, and you guys, I can certify that you guys are some of the nicest, not just wrestlers but celebrities I've ever met, and I can back that up. So,
well, thank you. We are from a very rural area in North Carolina, a little city called Cameron, a little town actually called Cameron. Population still less than 300 in 2022, we live out on nearly 100 acres, which is called the Hardy Compound, which is almost a character on television at some points in the past when we were doing the Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero stuff. But it is a real deal, and my brother and I, we live there. I have 4 young children. He has 2 young children, and man, we love it. We were raised working with our dad in tobacco and farming, so we get it from our upbringing, and I feel like we're very lucky and very blessed to have been able to have the life we have.
So you guys don't have wrestling in your background. It didn't come from your dad or anything like that. You just loved it.
Yeah, not at all. We were very lucky to break in like we did. I mean, that's why when you talk about guys starting from the bottom, you know, and work their way to the top, I mean, that we are the epitome of that for sure, because we started coming to WWE. We got a break and wrestled an independent show for a guy named the Italian Stallion. Him and George South had a local promotion outside of Charlotte, and they let us work for them some. They would beat us up there, and then they take us to WWE. Well, we'd be like the tackling dummies for the superstars back in the day, in 94, 95. And we really had the confidence that if they saw we had enough talent, they would eventually give us a shot. And lo and behold, in 97, the first of 98 they did. We signed a contract, and from that, the rest is history.
Was it always going to be tag team always, or was that just they decided that? How was that plan?
Yeah, whenever we used to do the independent scene, a lot of times we would team up with one another because we're brothers naturally. And I think the WWE, they first called us the Hardy Boys with an S just because it was kind of like a play on, or Hardy Boys with a Z because it was a play on the detective novels of the Hardy Boys. Sure. And it's kind of catchy, but you know, Hardy's is our legitimate last name. You know, so we love doing that. There were times on the independent scene where we would have crazy matches where I would wrestle as myself, Matt Hardy, versus my brother in a mask as Will-O-the-Wisp, something that later came to TV. But we were down for whatever. We just wanted to succeed in the industry, but it was important to us. Our main goal whenever we started wrestling, we wanted to be the World Tag Team Champions at least one time in WWE, and obviously we exceeded that many times over.
Boy, I'll say, and like in every promotion you've been, I mean, like, because you guys have been in, I believe all of them, correct? Ring of Honor, TNA, and now you're in AEW. Which I gotta say, man, I'm thoroughly impressed with what's going on in AEW. I think it's it's an evolutionary step in wrestling. And as a 100%. Fan, yeah, I just love it, man. I'm a big fan. I feel like the promos are better done than I've ever seen done. I mean, except for when I was a kid. Cause I was a Randy Macho Man fan, even when he was a bad guy.
That was my guy too. Then we had that in common. You know, Macho Man Randy Savage is the first guy that really pulled me in and got me invested. And I think the reason was he had this. He looked cool. He had this super flamboyant personality. He wore all these crazy robes. And his finishing maneuver was a flying elbow drop off the top rope, which was really exciting, you know, like in the late 80s, early 90s. So he was the guy that really drew me in. You know, my brother, he was a big Sting, Ultimate Warrior fan. I think you can tell that from his face paint.
Sure.
And it's so cool to be working with Sting now. And he's like on this amazing run and just killing it at his age. And it just makes me so happy for him.
It's timeless, man. I literally was just watching the other night when you guys were against the family what's their name? Oh, the family.
AFO.
AFO.
The Andrade family office. Yes.
And watching Sting come in at 62 years old and still, you know, look great, by the way, and still be able to do this stuff, man. It's unbelievable. It's like amazing. And he looks great. He looks 35 years old. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he does look so great. I mean, I think that was a crazy match where Jeff jumped off that balcony in the window, right? And then Private Party threw me off the stage. Darby Allin's getting thrown downstairs, and Sting, he wants to do all that craziness just as well, which is just so refreshing to see. And I think it's so cool that in 2022 there's AEW and WWE, so it kind of forces them both to be super creative and trying to be better for the wrestling fans.
And you can see that they really let the talent kind of do the work. You know what I mean? Like, it's not there's just a vibe there. I think this kid Hook is like one of the most impressive young wrestlers I've ever seen. You know what I mean? So like it's just all coming together for you guys over there at AEW, and I think I think you guys are poised to have some really big years in the future over there. I love it, man. I'm really excited for you.
I'm really excited about it, and once again, I just want to say how proud I am of Tony Khan, the guy who is the owner, but he is so open to everyone's ideas, and he's easily accessible. You know, so it's really refreshing to have a promoter like that in 2022.
Well, you know, and for us here in Jacksonville to be, you know, those guys based out of our town here, I mean, it's awesome. And then, like, you know, I remember when they did the announcement here in the city and stuff like that, and doing a lot of the events at Daly's place. It's just a lot of fun. So it's exciting to see you guys come back to that area for the River City Wrestling Con. And to me, I put you up there with Legion of Doom. I will put you up with any tag team. I mean,
thank you very much.
I mean that, and I'm not just trying to stroke your ego because we're on the phone, but I think the best tag teams always had kind of their own thing. You know, you think of Legion of Doom, you think of just straight power, and then you think of Heart Foundation, that was technical wrestling. But you guys with the high flying and the creativity and stuff like that, and not just in the wrestling, but in your gimmicks and the way you dress, the way you came out. I think it's all. You know, and it's going to be very cool that people get to come up and they can meet you and they can take pictures with you and stuff like that. And not just you guys, by the way. This place, everybody who's anybody is going to be at River City Wrestling Con. I mean, like, it is an unbelievable lineup, and you guys are going to just be there on Saturday. I have you down for just Saturday. Yeah. But you got
we're there on Saturday night, and we're talking about Jacksonville kind of being the home base for AEW. It's always exciting for me to come back to Jacksonville because in many ways it feels like a second home. During the pandemic era, where we ran all those events at Daly's Place and we recorded in front of no audiences, I actually made my debut in AEW in the first ever empty arena pandemic era event at AEW, which was just so unreal and just so strange in so many ways because pro wrestling, really needs fans to be pro wrestling. Their interaction is integral into it. But like coming back to Jacksonville, I'll always have a special place in my heart for Jacksonville, Florida, because I spent a year and a half of my life there wrestling. I felt like it was in the old school territory system.
Yeah, that's crazy because, wrestling, you live on the pops. You know what I mean? Like, you got to have that.
Yeah.
And so what was that? What was that? How was that like?
To come out there and debut, especially when I was doing the Broken Matt Hardy persona at the very beginning. It was just so different because that's a very character-driven, that's a very fan-driven character as well. You know, because we come out there and I have different catchphrases. I would say they wouldn't chant delete. You need the oohs and the ahs, and like whenever you're having a wrestling match, and you know someone gets hit with a real high-impact move, you hear the 1, 2, oh, when the guy kicks out. I mean, that makes a lot of the magic of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
So it was so difficult and so crazy to compete throughout that era. Even when they started letting 10% of the people in a few months later, that made a huge difference. Just to have anybody in there reacting to you. It just doesn't feel like pro wrestling when there's no fans out there. And just such a weird fact, my brother was out for surgery, and he returned to a SmackDown when he was still with WWE, and his very first debut there was the very first empty arena pandemic era WWE match. And my debut as Broken Matt Hardy was the first ever empty arena pandemic match for AEW, which was just such crazy timing.
That's one of those weird things that, like, you guys just parallel each other so much, man. I love that.
Yeah.
How's it feel to be back together, though? It's got to be awesome.
It's so great. It's so great to be back together. I mean, I think I think it was important to both of us. We definitely want to go out the way that we came in. We came in busting our butts together, you know, as a tag team, and that's how we first made a name for ourselves. We had that tag team ladder match, you know, back in 1999, and that's the match that turned us into being, you know, just WWE wrestlers, WWE superstars.
Right, yeah. That
created the whole TLC craze, and that concept is going to live forever in pro wrestling now, which is so cool that we were kind of like the forefathers of that. But just having Jeff back at AEW and being able to run wild there and being able to be utilized to the maximum of our potential.
And you said you had the most action figures, which is another cool stat. Do you have them all? Yeah. Do you have all the action figures?
I don't have. There's a lot of special release that I don't have, but I have collected most of them. I probably have about 200 action figures of me, and I have several of Jeff. You know, we're obviously in a lot of tag team combo pack. I have a lot of his individuals, and he has so many. Like Jeff's popularity is like unmatched in pro wrestling. So it's really cool, man. And for